where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Oh, 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 oh,
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. Welcome back to the program, folks. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania on the Shadow Banned Suppressed Network. Start calling ourselves that. YouTube can pretend that they don't have lists of content creators whose content they hide, but we have evidence to prove otherwise. Yes, my viewers have decided to start recording how they've been unsubscribed, how their viewing has disappeared, how their likes have disappeared from my program. Yep, absolutely. Well, that's just the evil tricks they're up to. Surprise, surprise. I also thought I wouldn't be doing a broadcast today. I had to verify the time that I need to be in for events at the Veterans Organization. But today they have purse bingo to raise money for the auxiliary, and it's a big event every year. I do need to go help with that, and that's a little bit later though. And because it's daylight savings time, we spring forward 1 hour in the spring, and in the fall we fall back to the real time. We're back on real time now. It's 8 a.m., not 9 a.m. like it would normally be. Cold weather is finding its way here. So with the advent of fall back, I'm now 7 hours behind South Africa, which makes a difference in my broadcast in that now I broadcast earlier each day, but I come to you at the same time in South Africa and around the world, at least places that don't have daylight savings time. Now, I'm not sure when the UK did theirs. Did they have it already? But we just did ours, so we've fallen back to an hour difference. So 7 hours between now and South Africa. And so I'm here to bring you the news this morning on a Sunday, and then I'm off to do the purse bingo. And then for the first time in a very long time, I plan to watch a National Football League game. Arctic 100 rands. Watching Rugby with the Grumpy Colonel's no fun. Next time, just have a shush beer. Grumpy Colonel? What are you talking about? Who was grumpy? Nobody's grumpy. We won 61-7. Disappointed in the Barbarians, though. They had a 19-0 lead and squandered, lost 33-19. And in Ireland, who had a 13-7 lead and squandered that and lost that game. Shame. 26-13. Disappointing. USA was slaughtered 85-0 in the largest ever margin of victory for Scotland's national rugby side. Embarrassing for the United States. And it was just an interesting day when it comes to rugby. Rhino, markets, bought, and real profits. Yeah, maybe they had in October. I can't remember when they had theirs. Always strikes me that Europe and UK both have their daily savings time ahead of the US because it gets dark earlier there. Yeah, Soldier Field had 62,000, so it's not fully packed. It holds more than that, but yeah, it looked pretty full. I was calm. What are you talking about calm? Who said I was calm? I wasn't. You said I was grumpy. There's a difference between calm and being grumpy. I was excited until the second half when my shit, useless provider, Flow Rugby, screwed up yet again. I don't know what the problem was, whether it was Super Sport or it was a British broadcaster or it was actually Flow Rugby's fault, but it was unwatchable. And that's just not acceptable. It better not be that way next week because it's the same provider that has it. Welcome to everybody. Teresa says, greatest of all time. GOAT. 1440. Oh, don't worry about USA's loss. We weren't going to win, but losing 85-0 is really bad. We have some Afrikaner youth on the team. Marno Redlinghuis, Ruben de Haas, and then also, he wasn't there, I don't know why, but Hunko Hemeshuis, all three of them. What the hell? What is going on? Am I still live? What the hell happened there? What happened there? What happened there? Is somebody in my computer? Yeah, my camera disconnected, my microphone disconnected, my media player opened up, my external drives opened up. It's all from a previous state. I never left being online, I just froze up. No, something strange is happening. Is somebody breaking my computer? Let me go take a look, see if any unusual processes are running. No unusual processes are running. Very strange. Yeah, my first thought was a hacker. Zoom is running in the background. I didn't open up Zoom. Let's get that out. Exit. Huh. That's very strange. Steam is running in the background. Let's close Steam. Steam is closed. What else? Yeah, I think you're right. My kernel is panicking. My kernel, not this kernel. That is the strangest thing I've seen in some time. Yeah, I'm in the task manager history. That was the first place I went. No. Very strange. Windows backup. Interesting. Well, that was interesting. If it's a hacker, it's not a very effective hacker because I've already isolated some things. And also, yeah, my streaming software is running really high right now. Huh. All right, you have to restart. Charlene Burger, how you doing? Well, the sound stayed on, Carlos, but my microphone went dead. At least the appearance of the microphone went dead. I didn't know if the microphone was on because it has color, and when I tap on it, it shuts off. But the color went out, and then it get restarted. So my microphone software restarted, my camera froze, I had to turn off and restart it. So, Your phone made the Windows sound? Well, Sandra, I'll do that after I'm finished, yeah. No, there was no power surge. I have a ups here. Nothing happened. That was weird. Very strange, folks. Like Teresa's making a claim it's unfounded. She's supposition there. Interesting. Interesting. Let me check my... Okay. Nope, nothing there. I'll check. That's my malware. Now let me check something else here. You could hear the hardware disconnect. How can you hear the hardware disconnect? Screw you. What money I already paid for this service. Well, I heard nothing. Marissa says, admit it, you're in South Africa and have load shedding. Yeah, I don't know. That was very strange. My computer went to a predetermined state, is what it did, essentially. No, it was what connected to the USB hub? What are you talking about? No, the only user has been me. No. Hold on a second. What's this application? Okay, that's not it. No. No. Nothing there. All right, enough of that. Let's get back to business here. Possible, Kanye. I was bad-mouthing the rugby team. No, I wasn't. I just said it was terrible. Not due for an upgrade. All right, let's get to the news, folks. Sorry about that. That's not what I was expecting this morning. That's weird. First story out. So it's all about restoring land to those who've been dispossessed, correct? No, it's not. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. Land won as a consequence of settlement and conquest and conflict. Purchase, sale is legitimate. Otherwise, people are just full of themselves. Well, what happened to a world-class fish river sun resort after it was taken from its owners? Well, this is what happened. Saw the video of this yesterday. It was unbelievable. Let me find that very quickly here. Where's that video at? I know I saved that damn thing. Did I save it as Fish River? There it is, Fish River Resort. Here we go. So this is the Fish River Resort from the air. Let me turn off the sound. It's a helicopter, so you won't hear the sound. Okay. All right, so this is the Fish River Resort, which was once a world-class golf course designed and built by Gary Player, no less. Check this out. This is South Africa. Those were the greens. Look at how it's fallen into disrepair. Look at that. That is what has happened to a world-class resort. giving it to its indigenous owners. No such thing. Totally looted. Destroyed. Just completely destroyed. That is the Fish River. Yeah. So let's get to the story on that. Business Tech runs the story. This story's been talked about before. It's also, we heard this from Action SA's Minority Whip, Athol Trollop, who talked about this a couple years ago. But now the world is paying attention. Former world-class hotel and golf course in South Africa in ruins after land claim. The Fish River Sun, a world-class hotel and 18-hole golf course designed by Gary Player in the Eastern Cape, has fallen into disrepair, and the course is overgrown. Saul Kersner, founder of Sun, developed and opened the Fish River Sun in 1989, was built in the former Ciskei as part of Kersner's strategy to open casino operations in the Bantustans. At the time, gambling was still illegal in South Africa, but it was permitted in the homelands like Bophuthatswana, Sun City, and Ciskei. He modeled on his flagship Sun City Resort, situated in the heart of Eastern Cape's popular Sunshine Coast between the Great Fish River and Old Woman's River, 1.2 kilometers from the Indian Ocean. Magnificent 18-hole golf course designed by Gary Player also offered excellent conference and event facilities. Your children can enjoy all the great entertainment at Camp Quena Children's Club while you enjoy all the activities and facilities we have to offer, said Sun International. The Fish River Sun Hotel featured 83 rooms, 75 double rooms, three three-bedroom interleading rooms, and a presidential suite. The Fish River Sun Vacation Club self-catering units all had RCI Gold Crown status and received a 4-star rating from the Tourism Grading Council. It had 4 restaurants and bars, including the Wahoo Restaurant, Castaways, Shoreside Retreat, and Kontiki Clubhouse. It featured a children's adventure playground, on-site doctor, dentist, guided nature walks, a large swimming pool, and sports greens. After the end of apartheid and democratic elections in 1994, new national gambling laws were introduced. Casino license was eventually transferred to the Boardwalk Hotel and Casino in Port Elizabeth in 1999. That put the resort under the pump, but the biggest blow was a protracted land claim by local Prudhoe community, which complicated its ownership and future viability. In the late 1990s, Mazazini, Prudhoe, and Tarfield claimed that they were the rightful owners of the Fish River Sun's land. So that's a lot of bullshit. See, none of them are the rightful owners. God is the rightful owner, and whoever bought the land. Over the next 2 decades, there were numerous legal battles over the rightful claimants. On April 10, 2018, the Lands Claim Court gave the Prudhoe community ownership of the Fish River Sun farms. But by then, the damage had already been done. The uncertainty surrounding the land claim and financial pressure led to the closure of the resort in 2017. Although the conclusion of the land claim was seen as a new chapter in prosperity for the community, the opposite happened, of course, because these people have no concept on how to run things. Otherwise, the organizations who are claiming ownership of this would have built their own resort, would have built their own world-class facility, would have brought their own world-class golfer in, would have built all of it. But they didn't build jack shit because they're just rapacious thieves. Although mismanagement, internal divisions, and disputed lease agreements have left the $243 million land claim, including the Fish River Sun Resort, paralyzed. South African lawyer reported that it's been a legal and administrative nightmare over conflicting contracts signed with rival developers and unfulfilled promises of jobs. And this is what they did to it. Look at that. In May 2023, personnel and the staff of the resort were chased away by a gang which demanded money and jobs. Travel News reported that from Friday to Sunday, wholesale looting and destruction of the property took place. Every single room of the property was broken into. TVs, fridges, bedding, cutlery, computers, projectors, and all IT equipment were stolen. A Quantum minibus was stripped down to a mere shell. Trailers were brought in to carry away the goods. On May 2nd, 2023, Athol Trollop posted pictures of the Fish River Sun Hotel, shown below, following the looting by the gang. Maha X, a digital company with a 49-year lease to maintain the property for the benefit of the Prudhoe community, said it decided to walk away following the attack. This week, Jason Gordon from the group Stop Destroying South Africa posted a video of the current state of the Fish River Sun Hotel and Golf Resort, and that would be the video I just showed you. He highlighted that the world-class Gary Player golf course is now overgrown and virtually non-existent. He added the hotel and chalets, once among the best establishments in the region, have been plundered and now lie in ruins, and this is what it used to look like. In June of this year, the Daily Dispatch reported the consortium of South African and international morons decided to invest to revive the resort. The consortium is spearheaded by property mogul Koliswa Doku of the Doku Group, who previously partnered with Saul Kersner's International. The Lux Collective reported wants to make the former fishery resort the flagship of its South African portfolio. They had $600 million ready to start the first phase of the project to revive the resort to its former glory. However, soon afterwards, reports surfaced that redevelopment plan was in chaos, with no clear developer and complete control, competing claims, and legal intervention. The independent administrators are now reviewing the trust affairs, including which contracts are lawful, the financial situation, and how to proceed. It's unclear which property developer will ultimately proceed, how the community will be assured of jobs, and the resort will finally be revived. Screw it. Just let it revert to nature. Let it fall. Let it fall. Let it all fall. Let it all fall. Let it all fall. Just show us the excellence, the ANC's excellence. Its excellence in its racist policies that lead to this garbage. This is what it once looked like. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. And now this is what happened in 2023. Yeah, they just broke through the door, bashed it out, robbed the rooms, stealing the fridges. Look at these looting animals, fucking animals, stealing everything they can get their hands on. Bashed down the gate. And there it is today. Where's Gary Player? He hasn't said anything about it. Animals. Animals. Police close in on a suspect in another mass shooting in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. Another mass shooting. The next time South Africans open their mouths and say something about the U.S., I'm just going to put something in their cake hole because, quite frankly, you have daily mass shootings all over the country, unfortunately. Boksburg, 6 dead. Police have identified a suspect linked to a drive-by shooting in Rieger Park, Boksburg, left 6 people dead and 3 injured. 2 vehicles, a silver and black Polo, opened fire. Polo. These aren't exactly Mercedes-Benz robbers. Polos. After the funeral of a local gangster. Police say rival gang members have identified a suspect and teams have been deployed to maintain order. Maintain order? I'd say order is already out of control. After the funeral, during the shift change, we received reports of a shooting incident. On arrival, officers found 3 men and 3 women fatally wounded. Describing the chaos of the attack, Kekana said a 40-year-old woman who stepped outside her home and hearing gunfire, looking for her 2 children, was shot dead instantly. Jeez. Another woman in her 30s suffered the same fate. They then drove to another street where they shot a young man in his 20s, believed to be a rival gang member, before moving to a nearby informal settlement, where a foreign national was also killed. 3 others, including a security guard who tried to intervene, were shot and are being treated in hospital. Wow. Another mass shooting. Yep, South African media are quick to talk about U.S. mass shootings, but they don't want to focus on this plague that is hitting South Africa. Well, politics make strange bedfellows. In the KwaZulu-Natal province, the ANC is an afterthought. They're almost smaller than the Democratic Alliance in that province, nowhere near the size of Mkhonto we Sizwe or the Inkatha Freedom Party, yet they're making demands and the IFP is kowtowing in order to stay in power, dependent on coalition. Once again, all your South African politicians who tell you coalition politics is the future, I will tell you that they're smoking their socks. They're full of it. Coalition politics is not the answer. It's a recipe for disaster, blackmail, corruption, and fraud. That's what coalition politics are. Because South Africa's politicians are rapacious, lying, scumbag thieves, by and large. Just like anyone else's politicians. Why would they be different? And coalition politics leads to corruption. Look at Port Elizabeth and what happened there. The Inkatha Freedom Party yields to ANC as premier fights to stay in his office. The IFP has bowed to an ANC demand that it oust Thulasizwe Buthelezi as the KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs, or face the collapse of the provincial government coalition. At a meeting, IFP's National Exec Committee tomorrow, Premier Ntuli is expected to announce that Buthelezi will swap posts with his party colleague, Sports, Arts, and Culture Minister Kwawula. Insiders told the Sunday Times reshuffle follows an ultimatum issued by the ANC 2 weeks ago at a meeting between Ntuli, who's provincial chair of the IFP, and the FC's provincial coordinator. During the meeting 2 weeks ago, the ANC said to have demanded the IFP reinstate its mayor and fire Buthelezi within 7 days. Do you see? The ANC does not care about governance of South Africans. The ANC cares about naked political power, its grasp on tenders. Thank you, Ian. Oh, you gave 10 memberships. Thank you for that. Its grasp on naked political power. That's all it cares about. That's all these politicians care about. They do not care about the people. This is about getting a seat in the mayor's chair for an ANC politician, not the good governance of that town. Horrible, 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 evil people. Speaking of which, here's another one. Paul Mashatile. He said Ramaphosa was quoted out of context on the best running municipalities. Yes, the ghost of President Ramaphosa's comments on African National Congress councillors learning from the DA-led city of Cape Town and Stellenbosch came back to bite his deputy. The president was quoted out of context, said Deputy Minister President Paul Mashatile, over remarks made by Ramaphosa that councillors from ANC could take lessons from DA-led city of Cape Town and Stellenbosch municipalities on their clean audits. Mashatile is responding to MPs on Thursday, the 30th of October, during a parliamentary answer session which focused on municipal governance and policing. EFF leader Julius Malema questioned him about whether he found that municipalities, mainly the Western Cape, offer the best model for municipal governance. In September, addressing ANC councillors, Ramaphosa said there's nothing wrong with competition. The best-run municipalities are often DA-controlled municipalities. We need to ask ourselves, what is it they're doing that is better than what we're doing? There's nothing wrong with us saying that we want to go and see what Cape Town is doing and what Stellenbosch is doing, how they craft everything, he said. But on Thursday, Mashatile said the president was quoted out of context. How is it quoted out of context? That's the entire quote. He emphasized that councillors should learn from one another. That's where it started. During the last audit cycle, 41 municipalities got clean audits. Many were either run outright by the DA or DA-led coalitions. And Cape Town was the only metropolitan that received a clean audit. But what he did not say was that the Western Cape is really a panacea for good governance and service delivery and everything. He was focusing on clean audits. They can't even accept excellence when it comes in their face. They can't accept excellence when it comes in their face. Well, this story gets attention. I don't know if it's the same story, but somebody sent me a link, said that there was a farm murder and a farm worker was killed, and now the media's talking about it. I can't find any story talking about that other than this story here in the Times about a farm worker who was murdered and his wife gang raped. That I find. I haven't found anything else. 13 arrested after worker killed in attack on a Free State farm. 13 suspects have been arrested after an attack on a farm in Heilbronn in the Free State in the early hours of Saturday, in which a farm worker was shot dead. The farm worker's wife was stabbed and sexually assaulted in the attack and rushed to a local hospital for medical attention. Suspects are expected to appear in the Heilbronn court on several charges, including murder, attempted murder, rape, robbery, and stock theft. So why is it when white farmers are tortured and murdered, there's no charges of trespassing, home invasion, assault and battery, assault with intent to kill, attempted murder, murder? Why are none of those charges listed? Why isn't it a farm attack? Will this be listed as a farm attack? Probably not. It'll be listed as a gender-based violence incident, no doubt. Covering it up. Police spokesman Lorraine Earle said after the attack, police working with local farm community, private security partners, and other stakeholders launched an intensive search operation. Now, here's the question. And I don't care because I don't care about the skin color of who's involved, but I know the actions of the media. Is the farm worker and the farmer worker's wife black? Is that why this story is being reported? Or are they white? That's why their names aren't being mentioned. Within hours, 13 suspects, 2 females and 11 males were successfully traced and arrested. They found 22 stolen sheep, a firearm, a minibus, and household items were recovered. So I want to know more about this story. Does anyone know anything more about what happened in Heilbronn? Anybody? Yeah, I don't know, Reaper. I can't find the truth in the story. Does anybody know? Let me ask this. Shoot. Hang on a second. Just send a link to a contact to see if I can't get better information on it. It's the story of Heilbronn. It's the story of Heilbronn, Charlene. That's what I just said. Did you tune in late? I just read where it was at. Another farm murdered a day after his wife was raped. What? What are you talking about, David? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, 13 arrested in an attack. Well, the South African government, after my video, has changed its tenor, apparently. Apparently, it's changed its tenor. Come on, go to the site. What's the deal here? Farm worker was shot and killed. His wife was sexually assaulted. Yeah, that's from SAPS. But SAPS is untrustworthy. You can't trust anything the South African Police Service report. You cannot trust what they say. So I need to hear it from someone that actually knows what they're talking about. Yeah, I don't trust SAPS. The media does report on farm attacks. Yeah. No, they don't. No, they don't. One story and they're gone. One story and they're gone. See them desperately, someone was raped, stabbed, and her husband murdered, and she's busy trying to score points about they do report the stories, not the fact of the suffering of the people, the humans, because they're on a farm. It's a sick world. Well, South Africa's government apparently has changed its tune. When South Africa's government came out and Chris Wyatt made the ludicrous comment that the United States was interfering in South Africa's constitutional responsibilities while interfering in our constitutional responsibilities, undermining our law, the Immigration and Nationality Act, and misleading people about the refugee situation, Chris Wyatt. Now they've changed their tune after my video came out and exposed all that. South Africa slams U.S. refugee prioritization. Now they've changed their tune. Pretoria criticized the U.S. decision to prioritize white South Africans as refugees, except in the country, saying it was widely discredited claims of persecution. Persecution. Well, that's the first line, but they kept saying white genocide, and they do say genocide down here again. Widely rejected claims of white genocide. Well, no one made a claim of white genocide. No one made a claim of white genocide. The reason for refugees coming to America has nothing to do with the leftist media and Pretoria's false narrative of white genocide. It has everything to do with unjust racial discrimination. How hard is that to understand? It's not. Not hard. Not hard at all. Well, a protest took place in Johannesburg, and Helen Zille was there. The woman I can't get an interview with, who promised me an interview now nearly 6 years ago. And her PA has told me she was unavailable a month ago. For 2 weeks, I wrote to her. 2 weeks later, she writes back and says she's very busy and she's working on her schedule. So is Helen Zille avoiding me? You guys tell me. I know she's a very busy person, but she gave Donald Brown from a very small channel an interview, but not my channel. Am I being avoided by the leader in the DA, the candidate for mayor of Johannesburg? She offered unsolicited to come on my program 5 years ago, and I haven't pursued it. But I did begin pursuing again recently. Now that she's announced running for mayor, give her a floor to talk about it, especially with the trouble the DA's in. But it's been a month now. A month. That's an unreasonable amount of time to wait for an interview. Obviously, I'm being fobbed off. Helen Zille, the DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, was among hundreds of residents who marched to the Joburg Council chamber on Saturday to protest against the ongoing crisis. By the way, if I contact the IFP, Felenkosi Labisa will give me an interview within a week. If I contact the UDM within a couple days, I have an interview with Bantu Holomisa. When Neil de Beer was alive, I would have an interview with in a matter of hours. With the Freedom Front Plus, I will have an interview with either Peter Groenewald on short notice or even shorter notice with the current leader of the party. Yeah, but not with the DA. Yeah, no. It's we're going to start that story because I'm getting unsatisfactory answers from her PA. Yeah, she gave that guy an interview, but won't give me an interview. The DA's mayoral candidate for Joburg was among hundreds of residents who marched to the Joburg Council chamber to protest the ongoing water crisis. Organizers of the Joburg water crisis protesters, including a number of civil organizations, were quick to point out the event was not a party political. I want to remind everyone here today that this is gathering not a political rally. We're here to support any party, not support any candidate. We're here for a community standing up for our city. Protests attended by residents from all across the city demanded clean water for the residents. Joburg Mayor Dado Moreira arrived sporting a keffiyeh scarf in support of the non-existent state of Palestine. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Urgent call for 1.3 billion rand in flood repairs grants from the Itiquiti councillor. Durban councillor Andre Bigta has called on the municipal management to exert pressure on the National Treasury to pay the approximately 1.3 billion in grants that are owed for flood-related damages. He made the request at a council meeting on Thursday after the municipality had to transfer funds from the Water and Sanitation Southern Aqueduct project. So, between April and June of 2023, we know that there was torrential rainfall, caused severe flooding, and idiots living in floodplains were washed away to their death. 600 millimeter diameter line is supposed to be done, and the money has not been forthcoming from the national government. Garrett says, of course she's avoiding you. She knows you'll ask uncomfortable questions and tear her apart. No, I won't tear her apart. I treat her fairly. I don't mistreat any of my guests. Not a single guest in my program has been mistreated. Not a single guest. Not a single guest. Yep. And Charles Van Olsen's probably correct. I can't help her in an election campaign, therefore she's going to. But I can. There's a number of Johannesburg residents watching this program right now, many of whom are pissed off the DA, and here's her chance to win the MAC. Here is her chance to win the MAC. Municipality told to recover 5 million rand wasted in fight against Johan Rupert's company. The Mkomazi municipality lost its property dispute against Leopard Creek at both Mpumalanga High Court and the Supreme Court. Here's another golf course that's going to go to shit by turning it over. The disputed 1.4 billion property valuation is nearly equivalent to the entire annual budget of the community. Hired law firm was deemed unfit and inexperienced in ongoing litigation to force Johan Rupert's company to pay market-related property rates. Dispute started in 2011 when the municipality evaluated Leopard Creek at $1.4 billion and sought to cancel a 1996 agreement under which Leopard Creek enjoyed paying $35,000 a year in rates. That's actually ridiculously low. Did not change when Parliament passed the Property Rates Act in 2004. In 2017, the municipality claimed Leopard Creek owed it $76 million in property rates according to its evaluation. But see, that's nonsense. You can't owe someone in arrears for something you've changed. That's just theft. You can't change tax dates and say, well, your property's valued this and now you owe me. You want to change the rates? Change them now. That is just theft. Theft, theft, theft. There's no fascination with Helen Zilla. I'm just saying that as a mayoral candidate, I interviewed a ward councillor candidate that ran against Ronaldo Gos in the 2021 municipal elections. There's no fascination. I talk to people who are newsworthy. Whether you're fascinated with her or not, it's newsworthy. The Springboks humble the Brave Blossoms at Wembley in front of a sparse crowd in what turned into a rain fest. Springboks were utterly dominant in a 61-7 victory over Japan at Wembley Stadium on Saturday evening. They scored 9 tries, including a penalty try, as they completely outclassed their gallant but hapless host in wet conditions. How are they the host? It was in England. For South Africa, Sasha Feinberg Umuzulu was at his mercurial best, and he bagged a brace of tries, as well as late addition into the lineup, buckwinger Kurtley Arnse, also a standout. He was a menace to Japan with the ball in hand, impressed with several impressive runs, 2 tries, and received man of the match accolades. Yep. One concern was Oxen Che, who has a serious injury. He hobbled off, was wearing crutches after the game. Not good. Not good. The rain made the ball slippery, and Japan did not adjust well to it. Well, there are 5 top destinations where South Africans can buy citizenship if they want to escape South Africa. Yes. It may still hold the title as Africa's largest wealth market, but it's losing its millionaire class, and more of the country's wealthy are looking abroad for second citizenship to offer safety, freedom of movement, and investment security. So, according to Africa Wealth Report, South Africa is home to 41,100 millionaires and 112 centimillionaires and 8 billionaires. That's 1/3 of Africa's total millionaire population, equivalent to the combined total of the next 5 wealthiest nations: Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, Kenya, and Mauritius. The report noted that over the past decade, South Africa experienced a 6% decline in high net worth individuals, losing around 2,466 dollar millionaires, not rand, dollar millionaires. Yep. So, where are they going? All right. At the top of the list is St. Kitts and Nevis, long regarded as a global leader in citizenship by investment. 2025, the country strengthened its program further by transforming its citizenship by investment unit into a statutory body and introduced digital platforms with integrated biometrics. There you go. Close behind is Grenada, which has earned a strong reputation. Grenada also offers visa-free access to more than 140 countries, including China. St. Lucia continues to attract interest for its These are all Caribbean nations. Next is Nauru, which is the middle of nowhere, the Pacific. No thanks. Minimum contribution $105,000 by a single applicant, and you can go to Nauru as a citizen. And Malta. St. Kitts and Nevis. There you go. You just need $250,000, ability to include a spouse and children under 30, parents age 55 and older, and as well as older dependents after citizenship has been granted to the main applicant. Grenada, $235,000 investment. These are rock bottom prices. But who wants to live in the Caribbean? St. Lucia, $240,000. Nauru, I guess they can't afford photos, $130,000. And Malta, $700,000. That's a little bit more. That's a little bit more. So a couple million rand, and you got citizenship elsewhere. After deadly protests in Tanzania, they're starting to clean things up, maybe. The United Nations said at least 10 people have been killed, though we've heard a lot more than 10. Opposition leader claimed the death toll could be in the hundreds, and one official called for the military to step in. At least 10 people were killed in Tanzania after security forces fired on demonstrators protesting this week's presidential election. The government Friday denied that it had used excessive force and played down reports of casualties. Well, some people said it was as many as 700. Tanzania's President Hassan has been declared the landslide winner in a corrupt election marred by violence. The Electoral Commission declared on Saturday that she won with 98% of the votes. 98% of the votes. The turnout was 87%. She won 31.9 million votes, or 97% of all the votes. Yeah, okay. She won 98% of the votes. This woman who hates women. Malta is nice. 98% of the votes. Yeah, that's believable. Well, Donald Trump is threatening Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen, with military action if it doesn't start protecting Christians who've been murdered in the hundreds of thousands there over the past 25 years. U.S. President has made the threat a day after he said he will designate Nigeria a country of concern under the 1998 International Religious Freedom Act. President Trump on November 1st threatened military action in Nigeria if the West African country doesn't do more to halt the killing of Christians. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. I'm a little confused. We don't have any aid going to Nigeria. We suspend USAID, so I don't know what aid he's talking about, but we are still providing military assistance. And may well go into that country, that now disgraced country, guns ablazing to complete wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet. Just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians, warning the Nigerian government, better move fast. Ooh, that is big news, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you this. I'm very familiar with what's going on in Nigeria. I've been there. I was responsible for many of the things that relate to Nigeria from the U.S. Army's perspective. And I can tell you that going into Nigeria is a buzzsaw. And unless it's done with drones, it's not going to be pretty. We have special forces available for it, but that is not good. Trump standing up for people of faith. What a nice change of pace in Washington, D.C. to see that going on. What is a Rossi Erasmus golden card, James Duvall? China filling up its oil reserves in anticipation of shutting off the Russian flow. The cushion could protect against a short-term disruptions in the supplies. Spent months building up its oil reserves that might come in handy in the wake of new sanctions U.S. recently imposed on Russian crude. During the first 9 months of this year, the world's second largest economy imported an average of more than 11 million barrels a day, an amount above the daily production of Saudi Arabia, according to one official. Estimates 1 to 1.2 million of those barrels were stashed in reserves each day. Low oil prices and concern of Ukraine's repeated attacks on Russian production helped explain the timing of the buying spree. Yes, oil is lower, so why not buy it? China's monthly oil imports, look at that. 20 million metric tons back in 2010 to nearly 50 million metric tons, 2.5 times its oil imports from just 15 years ago. Well, a mass stabbing on a train in London done by, we can't identify them because they're British nationals. Are they really? Are they really? Police make 2 arrests and say they have no sign of terrorist motive. But a mass stabbing on a London-bound train left 11 people injured, including 2 in life-threatening condition. Authorities said armed officers took 2 men into custody after a train was stopped Saturday in a town near Cambridge. Earlier statements overnight said as many as 9 people had life-threatening injuries, but police revised this down this morning and said 4 had been discharged. At this stage, there's nothing to suggest this is a terrorist incident, Superintendent John Lovelace of the British Transport Police told. See, Britain still has transport police. South Africa doesn't have train police, but Britain does. I've never seen them. I've been on many British trains. I've never once seen the British Transport Police. I didn't know they had them. That's interesting. I've been on British trains many, many times. Yes, so amid speculation about the attackers' identities, Lovelace described the 2 suspects as a 32-year-old black British national and a 35-year-old British man of Caribbean descent. A British man of Caribbean descent. A black British national. Because we all know that England is, of course, where black people came from. Yes. That's where black people came from. So obviously, we missed that part of the story. That history class I miss for all of, well, Rhino, we can assume that person is black, but that might be false because the Caribbean is full of white Brits. And if you get some of the former Dutch colonies, you have some white Dutch born in the Caribbean residents. And same with the Brits, you've got white folks who live in some of these places. But I missed the class at the Battle of Hastings where the famous black general helped defend Harold Godwinson. I missed the history of black British people who were at the Battle of Bannockburn, and those who hunted down William Wallace, the elite black scouts of the King's Army. Edward Longshanks sent his unique ninja black Caribbean descent British nationals to hunt down William Wallace in the Highlands of Scotland. I missed that. I missed that part. Somehow I missed that. The early evening service had set off from Yorkshire city of Doncaster and was heading towards King's Cross when the attack began. The appalling incident on the train near Huntington is deeply concerning to UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. It came a month after a terrorist attack at a synagogue, and they're calling it not terrorism. So even when terrorism happens in the UK, they don't call it terrorism. They just call it, a workplace incident, as Barack Obama did when Major Hassan murdered his fellow soldiers in a terrorist attack at Fort Hood. It's a workplace violence incident, not terrorism. Well, the Pentagon is not committing terrorism. It confirms the strike on another drug boat in the Caribbean. This vessel, like every other, was known by our intelligence to be involved in illicit and narcotics smuggling. When will they get the message? By the way, why are all these boats being attacked? Because we've shut the border down, and so the fentanyl can't slip across the border from Mexico as easily as it once did. Now it's coming in boats from the Caribbean at an accelerated pace, and now we're blowing them up every time around. 3 male narco-terrorists were aboard the vessel during the strike, which was conducted in international waters. All 3 terrorists were killed. No U.S. forces were harmed in the strike. 14 strikes now against terror boats. Prime Minister Carney of Canada says he's apologized to Trump over the ad from the Ontario Prime Premier. The Canadian Prime Minister also said that he asked the province of Ontario not to air the ad that later prompted the president to end trade talks. Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada said on Saturday that he had apologized this week to President Trump for an anti-tariff television ad from Canadian province that led the American leader to abruptly cut off talks. Commercial that set off Trump's ire was funded by the province of Ontario and is an assembly of clips from an 1987 speech in which President Reagan warned of dangers of tariffs to oppose American economy. Trump claimed that the ad, which was shown in the United States during the World Series games, was fraudulent. It accurately reproduced Mr. Reagan's remarks, but changed the order in which he said them. So that's not accurate. It's not accurate. It played the verbatim quotes, but it put them in order to throw shade and mislead people as to what Reagan said. That's the truth. Food stamps suspended as Congress fails to reach a deal. 42 million Americans received money that can be used at grocery stores through the program. What the hell is that? MBI, is that Thai? What the hell is that on that sign? We accept food stamp. But what's that on about MBI? What the hell is that language? The federal food stamp program suspended November 1st as program ran out of congressional allocations amid government shutdown. Funding for the government has stalled since the government shut down October 1st. Millions of Americans as of tomorrow will no longer receive SNAP, the USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins told a briefing on the 31st. But the Trump administration must make food stamp payments within days, according to a judge. The written order came one day after the court told Trump administration must pay benefits to the program known as SNAP. The problem with this, ladies and gentlemen, is it is against the law. The program has a reserve for emergencies. This is not under the law deemed an emergency. It's a funding issue, not an emergency. The emergency is if there's a crisis, if there's a flood, if there's an earthquake, there's something like that, insurrection. That's what the purpose of that money is. The government cannot legally touch that money, but a judge is ordering them to violate federal law. What does the president do? He's being ordered to violate federal law while the media lies about the Trump administration. Yep. Black people have been in Britain for over a millennium over different periods. How come you classify African English descendants as South Africans but not blacks? People can't be Brits. I didn't say. Yeah. See, people just hear what they want to hear. I never said that there are no black Brits. What I've said is You're not English. You're not Welsh. You're not Scots. You're not Irish, unless you have an ancestor that's one of those things. I am not Nigerian. I'm not Yoruba, and I cannot become Yoruba. I'm not a Yoruba. And people from the Windrush generation cannot become English unless they knock boots with an Englishman or an Englishwoman and produce offspring. The offspring can be English, but not those people. They can culturally become, but they cannot ethnically become. It's as simple as that. And black people have not been in Britain for over millennia. One or two people here and there. Stop the nonsense. Show me the communities of blacks in the UK. This is a revisionist history that I've heard about for ages. And we refer to Shakespeare's Othello. Give me a break. Give me a break. Get the story right. Let's start this nonsense. The long-established, deep-rooted communities of black Brits. They don't exist. Germans had blacks in Germany in the 1880s, 1870s. People who came there. These aren't long-established communities. Nonsense. Nonsense. Don't take what I say and hear what you want to say and twist it into something else. That is not what I said. And I've never said that. You can become a British national from anywhere in the world. You can become an American national from anywhere. The difference between Britain and the United States is you can become an American no matter where you come from. But you can't become a Welshman. You can't become an Irishman. You can't become a Scot. You can't become Manx. You can align culture with that, but it doesn't change who you are innately. Your DNA has not changed. I mean, you could argue that I'm German. I have German DNA and culturally align with the Germans, and I live there. No, J.I. isn't usually trolling. No, J.I. is real. J.I. is real. J.I.'s been here before. I don't know why that snapped something in J.I.'s mind, hearing what he wants to hear. It's not what I said. Not what I said. And let's not distort what I said. One day after ordering the Trump administration to continue funding food stamps during the shutdown, a federal court gave the government a choice. Either make full payments by Monday or partial payments on Wednesday to spare low-income Americans from hardship. The order from Judge John McConnell of Rhode Island underscored the vast uncertainty that still surrounds the program. But a U.S. district court cannot direct the president to change policy in the entire United States. This is illegitimate. This keeps happening with these district judges trying to pull their bullshit. Total nonsense. Total nonsense. And here is the left lying about the program. This is New York Slimes. Dirk says, my grandparents were German, Dutch, Swedish, and Danish. What am I? South African last time I checked. Food stamp cuts expose Trump's strategy to use shutdown to advance agenda. The president has stretched and limits his powers to help those at the heart of his agenda, but not many in the greatest need. This is lies. Who are the ones? Who is he stretching for? The only people he's stretching for is air traffic controllers and military. As the federal shutdown stretched in its fifth week, imperiling the nation's largest anti-hunger program, Vice President Vance insisted there was little White House could do. American people are suffering. He told reporters, and suffering is going to get worse. In fact, the administration has had billions of dollars at its disposal, more by its own admission than it needed to sustain food stamps for the roughly 42 million low-income people who depend on them. It was only after a judge forced them to pay for it that they decided to pay for it. Even now, much remains unclear about whether the poor families will receive their scheduled benefits. White House, they're willing to hurt people at the bottom when they take care of their friends and priorities, says Patty Murray. You are a scumbag, vile, repulsive demon rat, Patty Murray. Go back to Washington State and sit in a room and think about your evil conduct. You are the reason Patty Murray is a Democratic senator who refuses to vote for a flat resolution. You lying sack of shit. 13 times your worthless ass voted for a resolution to continue this under the corrupt Biden regime. 13 times you passed a flat resolution to fund the government. Now, because you want to destroy Trump's presidency, because your loser Democrats can't string anything together, you've accomplished zero this entire calendar year. The only thing successful you've done is exit the White House. That's the only thing you demon rats have done all year. That's it. And now you want to use leverage, as in the words of your minority whip in the House. This is the leverage we have against Trump. No, you're causing 42 million people to starve. It's illegal for the Trump administration to use that money. It wasn't allocated by Congress. And as soon as Trump spends the money, you bastards will file a lawsuit against Trump for violating the Constitution, for spending money. The imperial presidency, the king, spending money he's not authorized to spend. That's exactly what you'll do. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Well, it's marathon day. The New York City Marathon is underway, folks. Yeah, Bets Haynes, 35 Rand. Thank you for that. Thank you for that super chat. Eliud Kipchoge, two-time Olympic marathon champion, is making his New York debut, joining 55,000 athletes running today. Sifan Hassan won the Sydney Marathon, will also be competing. Weather's ideal. 5 boroughs in New York City are waking up early this morning to welcome 55,000 athletes to the city streets for the 54th annual New York City Marathon. Temperature expect to rise to the upper 50s, ideal for running. A bit on the warm side for a fall marathon, though. But the energy for the world's largest road race is already palpable as spectators begin to line the 26.2-mile route. Final preparations are underway in Brooklyn. Volunteers setting up tables and cups of water runners will grab along the race route. Police officers are blocking off areas with tape as we get ready for the New York City Marathon. Wrong button. Rising electricity costs are major issues in New Jersey and Virginia races as they tilt at windmills with their silly green energy unicorns. That's an Amazon power plant in Virginia. November 4th, New Jersey and Virginia gubernatorial races are being closely watched as they spotlight issues that could determine campaigns nationwide in 2026. Both mid-Atlantic states elections, voters' chief concerns include taxes, health care, job generation, and inflation, with spiking grocery prices and skyrocketing utility bills among the source of anxiety. With New Jersey customers paying an average 19% more for electricity in August of this year than they did in August last year, Virginia utilities imposing a 30% rate hike in 2023, receiving approval 15% to 21% in the next 2 years. Power bills may be among the factors that determine who gets elected. It sounds like South Africa. Yeah, exactly. You voiced something, and I clarified that doesn't make me a troll. I enjoy the stream as much as the next person. Yeah, you're right, Jaya. That's why I jumped, Jaya. I jumped to your defense, did I not? Did I not jump to your defense? You're a legitimate viewer. You weren't trolling. You disagree with me. And perhaps the way I said it wasn't clear, and we can have that kind of conversation here. Thank you for responding, Jaya. No, Reaper, he's not a troll. He's not a troll. He just had a difference of opinion, and I just want to make sure that, because what will happen is that people steal my content, and then they'll play that, and then they'll spread the myth and lie about me. Not Jaya, but others will do that. That's why I got on record. So I have terabytes of this data, of this broadcasting and publishing that's gone on for the past 6 years to refute the lies that are spread about me, because people can't handle the truth. Again, I cannot be a German. I mean, I can become a German national, but I cannot become a German. Although I have a better chance to become German than many people do, because I actually have German DNA in my bloodline. And I actually have German ancestors I can revert to. And I actually have German family that live in Germany. And I speak German. And culturally, I'm aligned with the Germans in many ways, but not so much anymore. But that's a stretch. I'm not a German. South Africans who have Dutch ancestors are not Dutch. They're not Netherlands citizens. They can become citizens of Netherlands, but they can't become Dutch. The filibuster is being used to keep the shutdown going, and the president can't use a filibuster. The filibuster is something the Senate has. So, United Nations claims that the strikes the president's doing on boats are illegal. UN's human rights chief condemned military attacks on vessels in South and Central America and called for an independent investigation. United Nations rights chief has condemned the administration's military strikes. Volker Turk, a UN High Commissioner on Human Rights, in a statement released on Friday, said there's no justification under international law for the strikes, which have killed at least 61 people since the start of September. These attacks, with their mounting human cost, are unacceptable. The United States must halt such attacks and take all measures necessary to prevent the extrajudicial killing of people aboard these boats, whatever the criminal conduct alleged against them is. His statement is more symbolic than anything. He has no influence over U.S. actions. So, the UN wants America flooded with fentanyl and Americans to die. War powers law does not apply to the Trump boat strikes, according to the administration. I'm not so sure I agree with that, but they might be right. The move deepened the idea that the Vietnam-era law, which says congressionally unauthorized deployments into hostilities must end after 6 days, does not apply to airstrike campaigns. Justice Department told Congress this week that President Trump could lawfully continue his lethal military strikes on people suspected of smuggling drugs, notwithstanding a time limit for congressionally unauthorized deployments of armed forces in hostilities. In a briefing, the official who leads the department's Office of Legal Counsel, Elliot Gazer, said the administration did not think the operation rose to the kind of hostilities covered by a 60-day limit from the 73 War Powers Act, which violates the Constitution, by the way. The War Powers Act is in clear violation of the Constitution. U.S. military has killed 62 narco-traffickers in 14 airstrikes across the Caribbean. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court on the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, elections are on Tuesday. I'm a judge of elections here in Pennsylvania, and I will be going to the polls. In that role, I have a neutral position and responsibility as a judge of elections to execute the polling station and ensure that people have a right to vote and get a chance to vote, which I do. Come live in South Africa, you want to compare electricity. Well, Emil, we actually have higher electricity costs in some places in America than you have in South Africa. Not here in Pennsylvania, but in some places. But we have electricity that's delivered. So, 3 justices are on the ballot, and the Wall Street Journal has an opinion. Let's see what their opinion is. 3 liberal justices on a make-it-up court go to voters for retention. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court doesn't so much interpret the law as concoct it, and voters will get an opportunity to respond on next week's ballot. The state's high court is controlled 5-2 by liberal jurists, 3 of whom are facing retention elections. These are usually hard to lose, and only 1 justice has been fired by voters since 1968. This time, at least, it's contentious, with millions of dollars flowing into the state to back and oppose Justices Christine Donahue, Kevin Doherty, and Dave Wecht. The poll this month shows all 3 leading, but with large pluralities of respondents undecided. 43% said they didn't know how they planned to vote on Justice Donahue. 51% on Justice Doherty and 55% for Justice Wecht. That's a lot of the voters up for grabs. The poll's yes voters were heavily Democratic and the no voters were mostly Republican, which is easy to explain given the activist bent of the court's majority. In 2020, during the plague election, their judicial rewrite of Pennsylvania's voting laws could have ended in a national nightmare. A month and a half before Election Day, the 4-3 majority threw out the statutory limit for mail-in ballots. Once judges start making up law, there's no quitting. In an opinion for the court last year, Justice Donahue strongly suggested Pennsylvania's ban on Medicaid funding for abortion is unconstitutional. Once the government chooses to provide medical care for the indigent, she wrote, it is obliged to maintain neutrality so as not to intrude upon the constitutional right for full reproductive autonomy that includes the right to terminate pregnancy. These are not justices. These are criminals sitting on the Supreme Court. Criminals sitting on the Supreme Court. They're in violation of Pennsylvania's Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, and law. And they also threw Pennsylvania's race in 2020. They did that by violating Act 77, a duly passed law of the legislature signed by the Democratic Governor Tom Wolf. And that law was violated because Wolf decided it was inconvenient, so they would violate it in all 3 aspects. They would allow people to mail in ballots, which was not the intent, without a signature, without a date. They would allow them to drop them off where they wanted, and they would take them for 10 days after the election, all clear violations of the law. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, composed of 5 scumbags, allowed that to happen in violation of the Constitution, Act 77. They didn't declare Act 77 unconstitutional. They simply ignored it. And this nonsense about abortions, the government has no right to pay for people to terminate lives. The government should not be a participant in the murder of American citizens. Jaya, did you disappear? I defended you, man. Come on, man. Give me some credit. I defended you. And I haven't seen you chat since then. Don't be shy. I'm on your side. Well, a study finds that ivermectin, will we be censored for mentioning the evil word of ivermectin, is effective against malaria. What? Can potentially block the development of malaria-causing parasites in infected mosquitoes. Ivermectin was found to be highly toxic against certain mosquito types and can be used as an effective tool in malaria management, according to a peer-reviewed study in Nature. Became controversial during the Rona scandal, when many health officials denounced its usage while others praised the drug for its efficacy. Since its discovery in 1970, it's been used worldwide for treating infections caused by gastrointestinal roundworms, lungworms, and other parasites. Many regions of Africa have been using ivermectin for malaria treatment. In places there is significant mass drug administration has been observed to significantly reduce the mosquito population. Wow, who knew? Ivermectin against malaria. In other news, water is wet. Well, folks, how to spot the November supermoon, the closest of the year. The moon will look slightly bigger and brighter Wednesday night during the closest supermoon of the year. The moon's orbit around the Earth isn't a perfect circle, so it gets nearer and farther as it swings around. A so-called supermoon happens when a full moon is close to Earth in its orbit. That makes the moon look up to 14% bigger and 30% brighter than the faintest moon of the year. Last year, we had clouds. I couldn't see it. November supermoon is the second of 3 supermoons this year, and also the closest. The moon will come within just under 222,000 miles of Earth. Oh, no, it's going to crash into the Earth. 222,000 miles. Oh, no, run away. Run away. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the news for today, Sunday, November 2nd, the 42nd anniversary of the date that I entered active military service on November 2nd, 1983. when I flew to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to begin my basic training. Your ancestor was killed by strandlopers. Francisco de Almeida. Okay, wow. You used it for animals. Yeah, we used it for animals too. I only heard it was used in humans after 2020, but apparently it's been used in humans for a long time. And see, that's where they lied. It's been used for humans for decades since the discovery, and they misled us and told us it's only used for animals. The moon is getting bigger on that day because of climate change. Ah, it's climate change. No, Jay, I know your message for Reaper. I read it. I'm saying, give me some credit. I defended you. What about the residential suburban homes? Will they land grab? That's coming, yes. Will Hillary Clinton be spotted on a broomstick? I don't know. Will she? Will she be spotted on a broomstick? I don't know that's an achievement, Jane. That's just a statement. That's not an achievement. But 42 years ago today, I entered active military service as a young man. As a young man. Not even out of my teens yet. Yep. After a year at college. I don't know about ivermectin on cancer. That's the first I've heard that one. Yep. After 3 generations, you can no longer claim any connection to country or cultural connections. That's why ancestral visas only go to grandparents. Correct. That's as far back as they go. Legally in most countries. However, Germany had the right, Sanjus or whatever it's called, the blood return. So until Gerhard Schroeder shredded Germany's citizenship law, people who had German ancestors going back centuries could claim German citizenship. In fact, a lot of Russians and Central Asians came to Germany in the 1980s, 1990s, especially 1990s, from the former Soviet republics because they could claim that, their great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was brought there by Catherine the Great. And so they could come back to Germany even though they didn't speak German. The only thing that they knew German was their name, Vladimir Schneider. That's it. And a lot of them came. Yep, a lot of them came. A few million of these people came from the East into Germany. Yep. But they changed that law, and that's no longer the case in Germany now. Now anybody can become a German simply by being born there. You pop out a kid and you're a German. So if you're a Turk, you're a Kurd, if you're an Iranian, if you're an Indian, if you're a Italian and you pop out a kid in Germany, they can become a German and make the decision at age 18, which is total nonsense. You're not a German. You're not a German. German national, but not a German. I remember in 1985, was it 85? 86, early 86. I had torn my knuckle off, the skin off of here. I was on a wrench under a truck trying to tighten up the dripping transmission pan, which was leaking. They tend to do that. And the wrench slid, and I caught the metal and it sliced the top of this knuckle. It just came up. So they sent me over to the clinic, which used to be a hospital in Bad Kreuznach, and we had a doctor there, not an American, but a civilian. And the doctor was Indian. And somehow we got to talking while she sutured up my finger, and it was late at night in the evening after we came back from an exercise on a Friday night. And we're talking, and she was somehow we got to the topic of Germany because we're in Germany. And she's obviously not German, and nor am I, because I'm American military, sitting there in my fatigues, coming back from the field, all grubby, wanting to go home and get a shower. And wow, Dirk Coetzee just gave the impact you have when you visit South Africa is invaluable. What's the most financially efficient way to contribute to South Africa travel fund? Because YouTube's crowdfunding campaign. No, I've never done that, Dirk Coetzee. Thank you for the €100. Well, one way is in person. People give me super chats in person when I come there, and that helps defer some of my costs. Another way is through PayPal. People can do PayPal. Let me put that up. Thank you for the €100, man. That's really awesome. Get us started here in November. That's really kind of you. Let me get to, where is that thing at? Hang on a second here. Let me put it up there. That's a fair question. I never promote this because, again, it's this. If this was all about making money, then this would be on my stream every day. Remember when Ramon on Morning Shot used to put up his, what was that thing called? He used to put that thing up to get paid. I forget what it's called now. No one even uses it anymore. He used to put it on the screen all the time. If I was really about money grubbing and getting the money, that's where I tell people to go all the time because what they take from PayPal is far less. It's only about 2%, 3% max. Yep. That's where people can contribute right there. There's my PayPal. Chris Wyatt Africa, PayPal. Yep. So anyway. Yeah, but I don't do it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Wow, got 20 likes on it already and somebody already commented on it. That's pretty cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. 20 likes. Yeah, so anyway, so the doctor was all proud. So we start talking about Germany. She goes, yes, I'm a German. And I was in 1985, I was like, or 86, I was like 20. I was like, looking at her like, I didn't say anything, but I was kind of incredulous, like, lady, you're not German. I'm sorry. You're clearly not German. I didn't say anything. I just talked to her. And because she started speaking in German, her German was terrible. It was worse than mine. And I had only been in Germany for a while. I was speaking German already, and I'm listening to her. And she said, yeah, I'm a German. I had to wait 10 years, but I'm a German now. I'm thinking to myself, no, sweetheart, you're not a German. You're a German national. You carry a German passport, but you're not German. She was Indian. So she must have been in her late 40s then. That was 1985. So if she's still alive, she's in her 80s today. I wish her well, but thank you for stitching up my finger because no one even sees a scar there. See, you don't see any scar on that thumb. She did a good job suturing it up. Yep. Anyway. Ketanji Brown Jackson, is there a way she can lose her Supreme Court seat due to stupidity and incompetence? No, she can't lose it for that. There are ways to impeach Supreme Court judges, though. Yes, they can be removed, but it's rare. Do the smugglers use due process when smuggling drugs to kill? No, they don't, Dirk. No, Fonz, that's a good question. They don't use due process. Okay, where am I at here? Supermoon over Heidelberg, okay. How long do you think President Trump wait until he takes steps to end the shutdown? There's no steps he can take. Cornea, what step can he take? The president has no authority to take any steps. Nothing he can do other than pressure people, which is what he's doing. Traced your family back to the French Huguenots. I'm not surprised. Marius, how's it going? Rhino Markets bought in real profits. No, Dirk Kutsia pays in Rand. He does super chats in Rand. He does them in dollars, and he does them in euros. He's not rich. He's just busy. Yes, PayPal charges, but it's not that much. Not that much. Yeah, 3% is fair. I mean, it's fair. I mean, given what everyone else, given what MoneyGram and Western Union charge, 8 to 14%, 3% is very reasonable. Yep. And Derek is virtually single-handedly fulfilling my Back a Buddy campaign. Thank you all. No, he's definitely putting some stuff in your Back a Buddy. Speaking of Back a Buddy, it hasn't budged. It's at 40,184 this morning. And it's, come on. Oh, no, it went. Oh, Dirk did it again. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That's why he said, wow. Dirk did another contribution. Wow, folks, this is crazy. Charles is getting, well, it's not crazy bad. It's crazy good. So here is the, there you go. Ronaldo Jos is here. Welcome to Ronaldo. I haven't talked to him since Wednesday, I think. So there's the Back a Buddy for come on, pin message. That's the Back a Buddy for Charles Van Onselen, and it's up to 57,000. Yeah, he is not single-handed, but he's certainly made a huge difference there. Look at that, 57,000 of the 80,000. You may not achieve your financial goal of this fund. However, I hope you receive enough to get yourself healthy. That's $2,000 he's given. Look at that. Arctic is giving a donation, 1,000 Rand. Phoenix 1,000. Ingrid 200. Neff gave 200. Anonymous 200. Julie 200. Rhino Girl 5,000. 5,000 Rand. And it goes back for me. I gave, I think, 1,000 initially. 57,000. Look at that. 72% of the goal. 8 days left, folks. You can help Charles out. The link is pinned in there if you want to help. Now, this is because, remember, the Sunnyside detective claimed that medical care is fantastic, widespread. It's not inept, and it's not racist, which is what I claim. Then she made a video and lied about me and slandered me, saying that I said it was racist. I didn't exclusively say it was racist. And she said, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do know what I'm talking about. I've got several people who've informed me about their parents being mistreated or family members being mistreated and dying in front of doctors, just walking away as they suffocated to death, things like that. And also people who can't get care because they've been denied because of their skin color. We have many, many cases of that reported. I've had well over 100 people tell me this over the course of the past several years, probably more. Anyway, but the Sunnyside detective claims otherwise. So, yeah, Byron promotes his Buy Me Coffee. Yeah, but it wasn't that. It was called, whatever was that thing called? He used to put a thing on the screen. It was a QR code. Anyway, I saw Ronaldo say something here. Where'd it go? There it is. Assume you cover the fact the letter of the prominent Afrikaner is actually written by a director. No, I didn't know that. Where did you get that at, Ronaldo? Send me that information. I will just excoriate them on that. By the way, Ronaldo, we've got the proof how YouTube is shadow banning me. One of my viewers, I've got to edit her video, sent me a video. I'll send it to you privately. Just don't air it, Ronaldo. Of how she goes to her channel. She doesn't see her. She watches every one of my videos. She likes every one of my videos. And she is subscribed, and she has been unsubscribed 4 times in 1 week, and she has no viewing history of ever having visited my channel. And they don't do that to any other channel she watches. She watches all these shark channels, but none of them happens to. It's just my channel. And so the likes are taken away, the views are taken away, and she's unsubscribed, and therefore my video is not promoted to her. We have the evidence of it. Several people said the same thing happens to them, but we have the evidence from a video. I'll share it with you privately, Ronaldo. You can see. You know this. Anyway. All right. Did you guys see the cute video of President Trump handing out candy? No, I didn't see that. Joe, Texas, your comments might not be posted, not because of Ronaldo, but because of YouTube. Yes, Trump, you're coming late. Well, Americans aren't paying much attention to it so far. He just said it on Truth Social. It hasn't really hit the news here. The news on it came from Washington Times, a conservative outlet, and from a South African outlet. That's about it. Nia Heritage, good morning from Alabama. What are you doing in Alabama, Nia? What are you doing in Alabama? That's the first time I heard you were in the States. Okay. What was published in Rapport? That story there? Well, Rapport is an Afrikaans language outlet, and I don't have access to it. There it is. Okay. So, Leicester, Gedik, and Norman. Okay, I'm listening. What am I listening to? So, I don't see anything here about that. Where is it at in Rapport? Somebody send me a link. It's part of News 24, but I don't have access to it. That's why I don't know it. Anyway, all right, there you go. Cool. All right, Charles, you're well on your way now. You should be able to make it with that, hopefully. In order to reimburse this money, we have to supply quotes, medical costs before they can release this money. What? Oops. I'm not live. What's going on here? What the hell? What the hell's going on here? Okay. Oh, my memory's at 97%. What is going on here? A big surge in my memory there real quick. What happened there? Very strange. Weird things happening this morning. Clouds are gathering. Clouds are gathering. And there's a super chat from Dirk. In case Hersoff is going to be a droll turd and not support travel expenses. Thank you for the 20 euros. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's kind of you. Thank you. Clouds are gathering. Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't think Rob Hersoff's going to pay for a first-class ticket. And I don't think it's good use of money. I mean, I don't like paying airlines $8,000 for a flight. That's insane. That's insane. Check your WhatsApp. Thank you, Ronaldo. Okay, there it is. That's from Grok. All right, let me go to Google to translate that because I haven't got time to do that in my head. That'll take too long. Afrikaans English. Come on. Paste. Oh, it didn't do it all. What the hell? It didn't. What's going on here? Oh, there it is, the bottom. Okay. Senior civil servant played a key role behind the scenes in coordinating the much discussed sentiment. Reporters learned that Karen Berger, director in the Department of National Relations, approached several prominent Congress to sign a statement. the South African embassy until the end last year. And a WhatsApp message, a copy of which reporters Berger states that she has written the draft article with the aim of having it published in a joint statement. I currently work in the office of Zane Danger, director of DERCO, station in South Embassy until December. I'm approaching you not in official capacity, but rather personally following a recent article in the New York Times. I feel strongly that Afrikaner voice beyond those of solidarity and forum should also be the place of public debate in our country's future. I've written a draft response to the article and sent a few people for feedback. No, I didn't know about that, Ronaldo. Thank you for that. Oh, my goodness. Now I've got to make a video on that. You guys see and hear me. That's good. I'm glad because it went really wild here again. Yeah, thank you, Ronaldo. I appreciate that. Wow. Now I can find the article because I got the title of it in Afrikaans. So at least I think the title in Afrikaans was there. Yeah, there it is. Senior lead van de gang. Okay. Copy. Let me go to rapport now. Co.za. Okay, seek. Oh, there it is. It's right there on the top. Son of a gun. It's right on the top now. It wasn't there before. When I did the first time, it didn't show up. Now it's there. Here it is. I've got it. But I can't do anything with it because I don't have access, even though I pay News24 for access. It doesn't give me access to that site. Hang on a second. Wrong window. There we go. There you go. That's it. Senior lead van regering. Regering, excuse me. That's German. Regierung is German. Regering. Help acte scams net niet ons naam verklaren. Huh. Look at that. Look at that. Huh. Interesting. So thanks for that. Now they've been exposed as the frauds they are. Yep. So the government's behind it. Yeah, a couple of the prominent have now removed their signatures. Yeah, because they're frauds. That's great. Thank you, Ronaldo. I appreciate it. Translate. My brother's friends are in private hospital 2 months now, and she's been in ICU 3 times for getting a bug in the hospital. Well, that happens, unfortunately, in a lot of hospitals. There's also news, Ref 75 refugees on WIN recently. What's the news there, Del Marie? Mace says, now you're worth it. What, for the first class or business class? Yeah, business class would be amazing. And Gerrit Janssen van Rensburg, 52 months as a member. Good evening to the Wyatt Army mods and thank you, Gerrit. Thank you for being here. 52 months. A couple prominent Afrikaners are now withdrawing their signature. Cool. Wow. You sign a check. Is it signed? How do you remove a signature? You're right, expat family Joubert. How do you unsign? Kali Kernai from also published that about Durkheim involvement. Okay, where do they publish it? On AfriForum or on X? That doesn't help me. Tell me where they published it at. Because the Truth Report didn't make it 100,000 by November 1st. I actually hope he sees and goes through. Yeah, well, let's see where the Truth Report's at now. Did we get there now after the first? Well, I didn't push it hard enough. That's my fault. Or maybe I just don't have that kind of influence. Maybe I don't have that kind of influence. Still 300 away. Hasn't made it still. Anyway, I just want to say that there are so many lies being told me regarding the... There are, Jaden Smith. I know. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm targeted. That's why I'm shadow banned. Well, part of it. Red Bull Flugtag at the VNA. Okay, I didn't know about that. Flight day at the VNA waterfront. Thank you for sharing that, Garrett. Okay. Hendo tried what? What'd you try, Hendo? Yeah, please sign up for Truth Report. Get up to 100,000 and get a plaque. Pretty quick order. I had to wait forever to get my plaque. Teresa has a bad feeling about staying late today. Why do you have a bad feeling? Huh. Well, Teresa, Rob promised that he would pay half my flight if we got to 100,000 by November 1st. By the end of the month, he said, by 31st. The date is come and gone. So Rob is under no obligation to pay for anything. None whatsoever. See, that Tim Pool discussed the podcast, 94 South Cars, and he said, yes, please bring them. Yeah, I don't follow Tim Pool. The beanie doesn't do it for me. He reminds me too much of Dan Quarter, his beanie. Wow. 10,000 American expats living in South Africa. There's more than 10,000 Americans in South Africa. Damage has been done, but the damage not been done. What? Thank you for the other 20 euros there. Appreciate that. Comment in one of the videos went missing for over an hour. Well, I don't know, 1440. I didn't delete anything. Many of the Afrikaners remove their names from the letter. It's massive news. Well, I'll talk about it. You still have the @ handles in my live stream chat. On what, Ronaldo? I'm missing something here. Maybe I'm getting slow. Maybe you're right, Ronaldo. Maybe I'm getting old. Yes, PK. Trump has threatened Nigeria if they don't start protecting Christians. So we're gonna attack the terrorists inside Nigeria. Ripped off an Indian pub in Wembley yesterday. £9 for a flat pint of Carlsberg. Well, that is definitely ripped off. You paid anything for a Carlsberg. If you paid £1 for a pint of Carlsberg, you got ripped off. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Andelia is fighting with Peter Creel because Peter is white and going to China as a spokesman for black business. I didn't see that either. Is that Andile Lungisa? Is that Ronaldo's buddy from PE who likes to use water jugs to smack people over the head? Oh my goodness. Hey, Maze. What's up, Leon Crystal? Alrighty, guys. I've been at this longer than I anticipated. Yeah, Rob didn't say what year. That's true, Sean Nadir. He didn't say what year. He said by the end of the month. He didn't say which month. He said by the end of the month, didn't he? Anyway, so no interview with Helen Zilla coming up on the channel, folks. As I said a month ago, I wrote to her PA. Her PA polite responded, said she's very busy. She'll revert in 2 weeks. She didn't write back to me. I waited another week. After 3 weeks, I wrote back to her and said, hey, what's the deal? When's she available? I gave you the 2 weeks. Now she wrote back and said, she's very busy. She's very busy, but she goes on to other content creators' channels, including channels a fraction of the size of this program. Anyway, so I guess not going to happen. Anyway. No, you don't get your destination any quicker in first class, but your hip feels a lot better. You guys are welcome. I got to get done, record that video, and then get out of here, okay? All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a good day. God bless. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the super chats. Awesome super chats. Making it rain. Making it rain, folks. Hit that like button.
That was easy.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you later. I'm going to watch the NFL today for the first time in donkey years, the Colts. We'll see if they pull it off. If the Colts lose, I won't watch the NFL again. All right, that's it. I'm going to make the video. Cheers, guys. Take care. And thanks, Ronaldo, for the heads up. I didn't know about that because it's in Rapport. I don't read Rapport because they want me to pay. I already pay News 24. I should have access to their entire corrupt empire, but I only have to News 24 and City Press. Why they keep me from the Afrikaans version, I don't know. It should all be the same network. When I get Times Live, I get their entire network. Financial Mail, Business Day, all that comes under it. So who knows what the deal is. Cockpot 24 also charged me 10 times what they're charging anybody else because my special rate expired a long time ago. So it's time to cancel my subscription there, isn't it? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See you all later on. Cheers and be well.